Welcome to the Hockey History Storyteller Podcast. This is the podcast where you can learn about past players, coaches, teams, leagues, and events. The game we know and love today was created from our past. I'm your host, hockey player and fan, Andy Courtwright. Today's episode, Ron Francis, one of the best. Ron Francis, born in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada in 1963, had one of the most successful careers in NHL history. Francis is the fifth highest point getter in the history of the league. He was drafted in the first round of the 1981 draft, fourth overall, by the Hartford Whalers. He played 1,731 games, which is fifth highest in history, scored 549 goals, assisted 1,249 times, which is second highest in history, and totaled 1,798 points. That ranks him 1 point behind Gordie Howe and 1 point ahead of Marcel Dionne. When one is so prolific as a scorer, awards and recognition are part of the story. Ron Francis was a four-time All-Star, elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2007, and awarded league trophies 5 times. One Selke Award in 1995 for Best Defensive Forward, the King Clancy Trophy in 2002 for leadership and humanitarian contributions in the community, and 3 Lady Byng trophies in 1995, 1998, and 2002. Oh, and he won 2 Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins in 1991 and 1992. Ron Francis started his long and amazing career with the Hartford Whalers. After being drafted in 1981, he started the season in juniors, but his 2 points per game average were too much for the Whalers to ignore, and they brought him to Connecticut in mid-November. His first roommate was also his mentor, the future Hall of Famer Dave Keon. His first season was successful, scoring 25 goals and assisting on 43. He quickly became known as Ronnie Franchise, as he did just about everything for the team. He spent 10 years with the Whalers and was captain for 7 of those. It did not take long for Ron Francis to be noticed by teammates and opponents. He was considered one of the best face-off men in the league. He studied opponents' tendencies on the draw and also how the officials dropped the puck. This kind of edge gave him insight on how to win the draw to a certain teammate who he would direct to a certain position on the ice. A major event in his career came on March 4, 1991, when he was traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins with Grant Jennings and Ulf Samuelsson for John Cullen, Jeff Parker, and Zarley Zalapski. When he arrived in Pittsburgh, Badger Bob Johnson told him, quote, "You may or may not know we have this other kid here who plays center. His name is Mario Lemieux. He's our number 1 centerman." To which Francis replied, quote, "Bob, I'm fine with it. Let's just go win." To that point in his career, Francis was Hartford's career leader with 821 points in 741 games. Why would they trade him, you ask? Ron's contract ended in 1991, and negotiations for a new contract were contentious. Also, he did not have a good relationship with coach Rick Lee, who had transferred his captaincy to Pat Verbeek. That was difficult for Ron. He felt like they wanted him to say he wanted out, but he didn't. He thought he was going to stay with the Whalers and was shocked he was traded. At the time of the trade, Whaler owner said it was a great deal for the team. However, in 2006, he considered it to be the worst trade in franchise history. 3 games after the trade, the Penguins visited Hartford, and Francis was honored by the support he received from the fans. In Pittsburgh, Ron Francis quickly won a Stanley Cup in 1991 against the Minnesota North Stars. They won it again the following season, and Ron scored the game-winning goal against the Blackhawks in the deciding 4th game. Ron Francis signed with his former club, now the Carolina Hurricanes, in 1998 to help the team build interest in the non-traditional hockey market. He played 5+ seasons in North Carolina and led the team in scoring 2 of those seasons, reassumed team captaincy, and helped the team reach the Stanley Cup Finals in 2002. He led the team in scoring that playoff year with 16 points and had 3 game-winning goals. Ron Francis finished his National Hockey League career with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Anyone who scores more than 500 goals can be considered a pure goal scorer. Ron Francis considered himself more of an assist man. He once said, quote, I used my talents and drew from the best of my teammates' abilities. He certainly did just that. He elevated his teammates. Sports Illustrated once called Francis Captain Class. He was a captain for many years, and his leadership was largely by example both on and off the ice. Ron Francis left the ice in 2004 and resumed his hockey career off the ice since then. He spent many years as GM for the Hurricanes and was selected as the first ever GM in the history of the Seattle Kraken, crafting a competitive team that made the playoffs during their second season. Ray Ferraro, a Whalers teammate from 1984 to 1990, told the Hartford Courant in 2005, quote, "If it's possible to be underrated, Ronnie was. He was so understated. He didn't beat his chest and tell everyone how good he was, and he was almost elegant in the way he played." The next episode features not a player, but a song, one that every Canadian knows and every hockey fan should know, the hockey theme. Thank you for listening to the Hockey History Storyteller podcast. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast platform. Also, please share with your hockey pals. Feel free to leave a comment or email ideas for future episodes to me at hockeystoryteller@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at hockeystorytell, Instagram hockeystoryteller, and Facebook, also Hockey Storyteller. The Hockey History Storyteller theme music was composed and performed by Lauren Clapp. Lauren is available at lauren.clapp2004@gmail.com. That's clap with 2 P's followed by 2004. See show notes for details.